I'm really glad to be here with you. I just want to let you know a couple things before I get started. Where this tumor is, it can cause me to do this where I'm quiet, but I'm still thinking, but I just can't get it out as fast as I would like. I also would like to let you know, when I asked to do this, I asked Brother Tim for 5 minutes. If I go over 5 minutes and you feel like you need financial compensation, you take it up with him. So first, I would like to start with reading a scripture. It's Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is a gift of God. And the first question I want to ask, what is grace? Grace is unmerited favor. I want to tell you my story. I was born the third set of twins. The previous two sets of twins didn't survive. I was born in March of 1962, and I weighed 3.5 pounds. At that point, I had a 60% chance of survival. I survived. My twin didn't. I had a brother. Many of you knew him or knew of him. We had his funeral here at the church. When I was 5 years old, I got sick and they took my tonsils out. No significant thing, but I almost hemorrhaged out. I almost bled to death. When I was 6 years old, for a swing set I got for my birthday, I got hit in the back of the head with the teeter-totter and got 60 stitches. And guess what? Almost bled to death. Growing up, I'm going to tell you about someone who was in my life that was not supportive. I want to tell you somebody that really made my life difficult growing up. It was my father. When I was growing up, I wanted to play sports. I wanted to be like all the other boys. But I never had anybody to play with. So how does a child learn these things if you don't have someone to teach you? And how do you learn these things if you don't have friends to teach you and watch them? I'm going to tell you, folks, he really damaged my self-esteem. I tried to play baseball. And of course, I'm the newest kid out there, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So then I switched off to basketball, and I'm the newest kid out there. I don't know what I'm doing. He was mean. He was very abusive to my mom and my brother, and he was unfaithful to my mom. And this went on the entire time I was growing up. That was just life. That was just the way it was. The only bright spot growing up that I had is I loved school. The teachers were good to me. I studied and got good grades, and for me, school was a way to get away from home. Rumor has it that my dad fathered other children. He never owned up to it to the day he died, because I asked him. When I got a little older, I wanted to join the military. I couldn't do it. Couldn't leave my mom. Felt like I needed to be there to protect her. When I say fighting, I'm not just talking about verbal abuse. These were knockdown drag-outs. Seemed to settle down when I got just a little bit older. Or, as I've told my wife, they learned to hide it better. But what really helped, and I'm not proud of this, one time he bristled up. And I knocked him down. I threatened him. That seemed to help. But I tried to cope with the pain. I tried alcohol. I tried some substances. Nothing helped. I don't want to take this completely down a dark road because I want you guys to know both sides of the story. Even though I went through these things, at different times in my life, God blessed me. God blessed me when I didn't deserve it. When I cursed God's name, He still blessed me. My main blessing in my life is my wife Jennifer. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'd have never made it. Without her, I'd have never made it. She's been there with me through thick and thin. She supported me, even when I didn't deserve it. And believe me, that was most of the time. My 3 boys, Josh, James, and Justin, have been a huge blessing. The Lord blessed me with a good job where I was able to take care of us through this time. Didn't make us rich. Look at me, I'm not rich. But the Lord blessed me with a job that we were able to provide for ourselves and take care of ourselves. Lo and behold, Mom had cancer. My dad met a woman in the hospital that was 35 years younger than he was while she's in the hospital with cancer. Doctor gave us good news. Hey, it's all in that kidney. And we think we got it. Lo and behold, 9 months later, we go for a follow-up, and it's metastasized. She is literally eaten up with it. At this point, I think she's probably had enough, so she files for divorce. In order to avoid the divorce, my dad told her that he would come back and he would take care of her. She said, okay. She agreed to that. She made her will out, and in her will, she had 3 pieces of jewelry that she wanted me to have. She had 2 rings, and she had a necklace. Guess what happened to those? The hospice nurse stole them. Can't make this up, folks. I didn't get anything. When she passed away, Dad tried moving her into the house that they had lived in for 30-something years, and she didn't like it, so he ended up having to sell the house, and they got a little place they rented over off Dayton Avenue on Winchester Road. This woman was not a good, virtuous woman. This woman ran around. This woman used illegal substances like, I can't say anything, but she did. She ended up getting pregnant with this baby. So, in addition to my brother Kevin, I've got a half sister. Well, they moved into the other house, and of course she had several children, and one of them got to play with matches, caught the house on fire. Can't make this up. Burned the house down. In the hottest room of the house, in the closet, were my mother's pictures of all the family. Guess what didn't burn up? So I got her pictures. My wife spent days going through and taking those photos out of the photo albums and putting them in boxes. And to this day, there's not a single one of them that has a burn mark on it. Now, she tells me you can still smell the smoke, but there's no burn marks on any of them. Before Mom passed away, one of her dying wishes was for us to take Kevin. And Kevin lived with us for over 25 years. Kevin was a joy. We didn't always make the best decisions, but we did our best. And we lived in a 3-bedroom house at that time. So it's not like we were all spread out. We were on top of each other. But again, we made the best of it. And I can't imagine life being different in any other way. I also mentioned I got 3 beautiful granddaughters. And a 4th one. Got a 4th one coming. In 2014, Jennifer and I were coming out of Costco's. This is prior to them putting the light up. And as we're coming out, if you go out there and look, because I have, you go out there and you look left, you can see so far down the road, but there's a dip. And when a car gets in that dip, you can't see it. And I've timed it. If you go the speed limit how much time you have to pull out there. Well, it seemed like the guy that hit us really didn't understand physics because he was doing 95 miles an hour. When he hit our Jeep Cherokee, I was driving, and that's the side he hit on. He hit right between the front wheel and the driver's door. You can imagine with that kind of impact, he spun us around 9 times before we stopped. Thankfully, Jennifer wasn't seriously injured. She was bruised from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. She had hematomas, but she wasn't seriously injured. The seat backs broke in the Jeep. The seat belts broke in the Jeep. I ended up back in the cargo spot, and it hit me so hard it knocked my shoes off. We never heard anything. We never felt the first blow. We were never in pain. God protected us. I ended up breaking my neck in 3 places, and that's why I look the way I do. I'm sorry. Our boys came together to take care of us, though. Josh took off work for 2 months and came and stayed with us while we were trying to rehabilitate. But throughout life, I tried to negotiate with God. I tried to set stipulations where it pertains to my salvation. I wanted God to let me hold on to the hate and the anger that I felt for my dad. How arrogant do you have to be that you think you can negotiate with God? One of my goals in life was to make sure that my boys never had to grow up the way that I did, and I did everything that I could do to be the best father to those boys. But I wasn't saved until I was 60 years old in this church. Tell you folks, it's never too late. I'll never forget how it started. The children come to our house after school every day. And I noticed that Silas was wanting to pray before he ate his afternoon snack. Now you have to remember me at this point. I have negotiated and negotiated like a lawyer, and I'm exhausted. And I've already figured out I'm not going to win, so I'm going to give up. I'm not going to continue to negotiate. Come to find out, Bob and Lauren were taking Silas to church, and they kept inviting us, and we kept turning them down. No, I don't want to go. Well, they got old Dad in the soft spot. We're going to be singing on Sunday. Well, I'm a proud papa, so I can't miss that. We got here, Bob brought us into Jim's class. We came several weeks. On the 3rd week, Jennifer accepted the altar call. put the pressure on me. Jennifer was saved at this point, and I was still fighting it. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. And I believe that the Lord was dealing with my heart. The next Sunday, I didn't want to go to church. I had been in what I call a spiritual battle the entire week. And I felt like I had two lines, both fighting for something different. And if anybody knows where I live, I've counted them, and there's 9 traffic lights between our house and Highlands. And that Sunday morning, when we came to church, we made every single light. We didn't miss a single light the entire way through. And I thought, boy, that's what is God trying to tell me? It's never happened again. Never happened before, never happened again. Okay. After service, they did the altar call. And I finally realized that I had to let it all go. I had to forgive. I had to make peace. The Lord accepted me in as one of his children. A wave of grace came over me like a tidal wave. God saved my life. This church saved my life. This church welcomed me. This church supported me. This church has loved me. Despite all my shortcomings, just want to let you guys know, though, that this will be my last Sunday for a while. A couple weeks ago, I had what I call an episode. And this thing just came up out of the blue. We didn't know it was there, didn't know what was going to happen. But Jennifer was talking to me, and the only thing I could tell her was, Jennifer, don't go to church. And she looked at me and she said, Jewell, today's Tuesday. We don't go to church on Tuesdays. We go tomorrow night. Jennifer, don't go to church. And that's all I could get out. But my mind was semi good. I know you guys think I go through spells, but this was a real spell. And through the process, I found out that I have a large brain. I found out I have a large brain tumor. After all this, don't you think that's a speed bump? And I want you guys to know that I'll be under doctor's restrictions at first. I go in Tuesday, and at 7 o'clock they'll start processing me, and they hope to get started by 9 a.m. And I'll be under doctor's restrictions as it relates to visitors for at least 2 weeks, probably longer. But guess what? I can't get sick through the telephone. So if you want to call me, please do. I would welcome anybody's calls. Also heard a rumor. I heard there was food coming. I like chicken. I want to tell you, though, that despite what I'm facing, I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. And I know for some folks, this would probably be tragic news. But I don't feel that way. When I was in the hospital and they took me back for the MRI, and the physician's assistant came out and talked to us, he didn't know a whole lot. He wasn't 100% positive, but he talked good, but he wasn't 100% positive what I was facing. When the second doctor came in, they did another test, and he was a little more positive. And then the next day when I got to see the main doctor, he was a little more positive. But I just want you guys to know that I have seen God work in ways that I can't describe. I have seen more come out of this good than I have bad. The ironic thing is, if you'll look at your church bulletin today, and you look at the beginning of it, at the very first page, Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. I want you to know, if you do not allow God to be the Lord of your life, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what peace you have. And we are all simply beggars saved by grace. Couple shout outs. When I get back, Rick, I've been appointed your assistant, so don't think you're getting rid of me. You're stuck with me, Rick. I want all of you to know that I love you all dearly. I'm going to miss you. And I want you to know that I will be back as soon as possible. And I want to thank you for your time.